Hey guys, what's going on? Bulls on Wall Street. Guys, let's talk about one of the 7 deadly sins that I think really hurts new traders. As you guys know, we are putting on this series of 7 deadly trading sins to avoid as a trader to end our year. It's December. It's time to look at not only our future goals, but what's been hindering us over the course of the year so that we can hit 2019 with full speed ahead. These 7 things, if you can cure them, and you can never totally cure them, but if you can minimize them to just a handful of times a month or a handful of times a week, it's going to supercharge your trading and take you to the next level. We're going to be talking more about this in detail in our webinar that's going to be coming up on Monday. I look forward to seeing you guys in there. As you know, day 1, we did revenge trading. Day 2, we did gambling. Day 3, we did emotional attachment. Day 4, let's talk about slothfulness, right? Slothfulness is a deadly sin and hurts new traders so much. You know, when we are new and we learn a couple strategies, all of a sudden, you know, a lot of times we just wake up and we decide, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Like, for example, like I trade earnings gappers a lot. On our YouTube, every morning we come in and we talk about earnings gappers. So like a lot of times, like a new guy will just wake up and say, man, I'm just going to trade some gappers. So they roll to the computer, right, look up some gapper stocks, and then that's what they trade. Well, that's not really preparing for the market, right? That's not really understanding what the market's doing, the tendencies, how it's moving, what stocks are moving, the actual sectors that are going, the actual, really the nitty gritty of scanning and going through charts. Slothfulness is terrible. A lot of times it happens because, you know, we have a couple stocks that we're watching, or we're in a chat room and we're depending on some chat room moderator, or we have this special scanner and they just pop up in the middle of the day and we think that's our research. Well, that's not research. We're trying to make money and giving your money to the prepared and patient, right? It's a little bit different, right? Not using proper technical or fundamental analysis is slothfulness, right? Depending on a tick, right? Depending on a scan. Do you know the one thing with scanners that always happens? It's really funny. Once a stock shows up on a scan, like an intraday scanner, it's already moved, which means that you're not catching the primary move, right? That first big thrust. You're coming in after the fact. What happens when you get up early or you do your homework at night and you prepare and do your chart work? Well, you're catching the stocks as they move. You're understanding the angles, the support and resistance. It's so important. You can't just wake up, turn something on, and expect to make money. Think about what trading is. You're competing against the smartest, the most well-capitalized, the most crooked people on earth, right? How do you compete against that? Well, if you can't even put in some work, can't even put an hour of chart time, some journaling time, some trade review time, some time to talk to your mentor every day, then how are you going to beat those people? There's edges in trading. You can have an edge in capital, right? I have more money than the next person. That gives you a wide moat, right, to make mistakes. You can have an edge in strategy, right? My strategy is better than the next guy. You could have an edge in discipline, meaning that I'm able to hold myself to my rules and my strategy better than the guy next to me or the guy next to that, right? I have a crazy discipline to go out and do what I need to do every day and follow through. That's a huge edge. There's also an edge in work, meaning I can put in more work than the guy next to me and the guy next to him. He may be smarter, but I'm going to work twice as hard or 3 times as hard. He may have more money, but I'm going to blow through that by outworking him, by out hustling him, right? So slothfulness is one of the worst trading sins you can do, because when you're brand new, you don't even have much capital, right? You don't even have much experience. So now if you can't even work, how are you going to beat anybody? Get better. You can't. You fail. You're not even in the game, right? Hard work just gets you to the starting point. It doesn't get you to the finish line. It is just the opener. If you can't even do that, the rest of it is gone. Cut yourself out of the game. If you're lazy, you don't do your homework at night, you don't do your journaling, you don't talk to your mentors, you're out of the game before you're even in the game. All right? So don't underestimate your competition and what they're doing at night. Avoiding the proper processes that you need for trading is a huge part of slothfulness too. It's that art of just winging it. I'm going to put some tickers on my list, and right as it starts moving up, and I just do what I do. That's not an edge. That's not a strategy. Remember all this, guys. Let's take a look at some trades where slothfulness could play out, right? So, for example, when we looking at different stocks, I saw like in my chat room, like a lot of people trading this XPO today, right? So XPO was one of those stocks that look, if you didn't do your homework on it, you would have just missed it, right? Yeah, like this is a stock that moved down 26% today. I mean, if you were shorting this thing at 58, 52, 48, so on and so forth, you were going to be able to make some money. But like when I was going through like my chat room, my classes, talking to the students, hey, what'd you guys trade? Only a handful of them traded this stock. Even though I was talking about it, the other students were talking about it, still nobody was trading it. So I'm talking to one of my students, we'll just call Johnny Dell, right? And I said, hey, he said, man, today was so slow, there was nothing to trade. I said, what about XPL? He said, well, I didn't have that on my list. I said, why not? Right? He said, well, I don't know. Doesn't even know why it's not on his list, right? But our job is to trade the best moving stocks, the hottest stocks. We are only as good as the stocks that we trade. So not only do we have to do our nighttime homework, we have to do our pre-market homework. We've got to get it all together. You've got to be in your chat room or wherever the group you're hanging out with. You got to be paying attention to what other people are trading. Put those stocks on your watch list. Remember that 100 eyes on a whole sector of stocks or a whole market of stocks is better than one eye. Oftentimes somebody else may find something that, I don't like or whatever, right? But we have to be aware of this, do our study, mark out our levels, and be really, really prepared. One of the reasons we knew this thing was going to get dusted was, right, the daily chart was telling us so. So when the news was hit and this thing starts to shred to the downside, it's just a matter of aligning and hitting the proper entries. But like I said, like I have a chat room, hundreds of people are hanging out here, right? Like mentorship kids, only a handful of people were trading it because it wasn't on their radar because they hadn't done the homework properly in the morning, but they also just weren't paying attention to the actual process of trading. So like we didn't have this stock on our pre-market gapper list, right? It wasn't on the list. But because, it didn't gap down much, and I was thinking, well, it usually moves slow. That's okay. But part of our process of what we do as traders is to run our liquid gainers and our top losers scans from TC 2000 at certain intervals during the day. So if you don't run it at certain intervals during the day, then the next group of stocks that are not on your gapper list won't show up, right? And so, I made that mistake too. I ended up catching a really nice shred in this at the end of the day. But if I had run my top loser scan at the right spot, I would have probably gotten 10 points earlier too. So slothfulness, really pounding that process of what your normal routine is going to be hugely important when you're trading. Man, that's like the whole ball game, right? Like we've got to be able to do that. Guys, remember, do your research, your analysis, never follow based on somebody else's alerts. Try to look at as many charts per day as you can, right? Look, I'm making this video, it's 10:30 at night, right? I'm going to be looking at stocks. I look at them in the morning. If you can't even look at a handful of 100 stocks, right, in a day, how are you going to beat somebody that looks at 1,000, 2,000. Somebody that has an understanding of the ebbs and flows of the market. Somebody that can see all the angles because they have gone through and done their chart work. Remember, you're competing against some very smart people. They have money, they got brains, they got education. Some of them even work hard. How can you beat them? Well, you can't even get in the game if you're slothful. So remember, if you're not doing your journal, not doing your chart work, you're not sharing your trades with your group, your mentor, whoever, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. I'm not even going to say you're behind the 8 ball. You're not even in the game. So remember, we're going to talk about this a little bit more. December 17th, 8 p.m. I look forward to seeing all of you guys there. It'll be an honor, as always, to do a webinar for you guys. We've had some great groups in front of me the last few webinars, making new friends all over the world, and I'm excited to see who else is going to be around. I'll see you guys there. As always, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, leave me any comments, and of course, you can feel free to email me anytime you want or chit chat with me. Kunal, Kunal at bullson.ws, or text me. Most of you guys got my phone number anyways, and it's all over the YouTube. That's my personal cell, so don't waste it. Guys, I'll see you in the webinar. Take care.